YRSA. Let's check it out. It's a commuter scooter. It's got some stuff on it. Yeah, you might want to check it out. It's cold here, you know? And you can ride this where it rains. It's basically an electric scooter that's ready to commute out of the box. You have some fun features. I'm going to do a little show and tell here, come in close. But it's really just a full-featured scooter from up in Victoria, Canada, where they are naming everything out, some old nurse names for their products. They have really great warranty, waterproof backing on water resistance, and yeah, let's check out all the features. We got wing lights on the end for turn signals. We got ergonomic grips, a large mirror. You can see here with a spring back, it actually ratchets around so it won't ever break if it tips over or when it's stored if it leans over. Your display there, not visible from here, but visible on top. Integrated horn where the button is over on the left. Left thumb throttle. Here we got our headlight and these big old Mondo brake levers. These Mondo brake levers tie into this drum brake system. It's kind of very simplistic drum brake, so not a lot of fine adjustment like when you're out on the trail without a tool. But it's sealed and it makes it really nice and dependable. So we got the rear drum brake right there going into this 500 watt nominal 800 watt peak rated motor. The deck on the VIG YRSA is pretty long actually. It's over 20 inches long. Got this textured portion in the middle here, but that does actually kind of reduce your usable width of the deck because of this both taper and non-grip tape. So you get about 5 inches width here, a little bit more if you go to the side, but this is a little bit too narrow to go side by side on your feet if that's your preferred or one of your riding styles. One of the beautiful things is this right here in this deck. There's a removable battery. Here's a look at my foot. I have a size 10, so hopefully you can tell you have plenty of forward back positions. We got a simple dual suspension here in the front that works very well. The one thing I will note is that even though a bump is absorbed by this front suspension, you have these 10-inch solid tires and there isn't a lot of give to them. So that rear end of the scooter, you might get the cushion from the bump on the front end, but a lot of times you're going to feel it on the back end. We got a very nicely sealed charge port and battery ejection place. So yeah, it pops in there very nicely and seals up. So the handlebars are pretty damn wide. All these specs will be down in the description. Rather than getting into the numbers, they're wide. They're wider than most scooters. One position stem, but also quite tall, like 41 inches from the deck up to the handlebars. Again, I just said a number, but all those numbers are down in the description. The last thing I want to show you is the folding mechanism on this. It's kind of unusual because when I first saw this scooter, I thought it was like a lot of the other 9-bot kind of folding mechanisms, and it kind of looked that way. One, it's a much bigger, more robust scooter in person than you might think by the photos. It's 52 pounds, a little more than advertised, and it's big. It's about almost 4 feet long, 47 inches long, and almost that tall from the ground. So it's a very substantial scooter. So depending on where you're trying to store it, it's a little bigger than a lot of this is sort of a commuter last mile solution idea, all weather, albeit, but the size is, it's got some good size to it. But anyway, folding mechanism might be the easiest of this style. It's solid to remove, just like that. A lot of them you have to really pull. This works as the latch, and you can lift it up. Though you can see there is a little bit of movement, though these handlebars are limited at about 30 degrees, and they're further limited here as in this kind of semi-locked position. I hope you can see this display there. We're kind of in the, later part of the day. Single press takes you between your speed limits. You have a lot of information on the screen, but there's a lot of it that's actually not really that much information. It just looks cool. But it does look cool. And you have a good light here, and 2 presses turns your light off and on. You got the indicator there. Yeah, it looks all good. One thing I'm noting with YRSA's speed limits, it looks like on the display it's about 9, 12, and then top speed, which at least by the display is 24, 25 miles per hour. And it feels fast. And the throttle is a little on the sensitive side, so it does take a little getting used to really be able to modulate that throttle down below the top speed that you're at in the exist levels. Something to know. That's what you get by Electron servers, things to know. The horn here has, it's probably really hard to see in the dark, but you got a power button in the middle, and you got an increase loudness on the bottom and the top, and then your horn has two settings, a bell type of a deal and one's supposed to be a different type of sound. There we go. You got a horn and a bell. You can change the volume of those. This comes off, it's rechargeable with a separate cord, so you're not supposed to have to recharge it very often. I'm okay with not having deck lights because I don't think they do a whole heck of a lot, but boy, it sure would be great if that was also a light. Let's see if we get do we got brake light functionality here? Oh yeah, we do. So we got a good brake light potential on the back. I'm going to throw this over to the lab where we're going to discuss the performance results of the VIG YRSA. The performance of the YRSA. Obviously the YRSA is not a performance scooter, but I talk about this in terms of comparison to other scooters just so you can know what you're going to be expecting. So from acceleration standpoint, this falls right in the middle of all the other 500 watt scooters with 48 volt batteries that I have tested to date. From a braking perspective, the braking results a little bit slower than some of competitors, mostly because of the drum brakes. They just don't stop quite as great as a disc brake, though I think there are a lot of advantages to the drum brakes. They're a little easier to modulate, you don't skid as much, so I think there's actually chances of them being a little safer. To me, they stop totally adequately though. So I did range tests on the scooter in all 3 speed limit modes, but I got between 14 miles of range on the low end and 16.5 miles of range on the high end, and I did that at pretty cold temperatures, and that's why I was willing to ride at about 9 miles per hour most of the time. So keep in mind, all those results are during the winter time where it is fairly, cool. So in the summertime, you're gonna have a little bit better results if you're a lighter person than me at 175 pounds, 79 kilograms, you'll get a little bit better range as well. And riding conditions, all that stuff always factors into range. I'm gonna leave in the hill climb, just so you know, the hill climb, this scooter really just fell right in that same kind of, from the performance standpoint, right in the middle of the range of other 48 volt, 500 watt electric scooters I've reviewed. From a top speed, this thing boogies along pretty good. I got 24 miles per hour verified with GPS top speed. So that's totally boogieing. So we have 48 volts. That's really what's giving you this extra power for hill climbing, if you're wondering. So that motor is peaking at 800 watts. Okay. There's some things in the app that you can also change. I have this put live from a stop, which is pretty good because this scooter is it's high enough off the ground, it's not easy to kick, and the angle of the stem coming back towards you, it's actually really hard to kick like up a hill. All right, so the VIG YRSA, what do I like and what don't I like on the scooter? One, there's a lot of stuff to like on it, honestly. So most obviously to me is it's just fully ready to go for a commuter. It's got everything you need. You don't have to add anything at all. You can just buy this and start boogieing back and forth to work, which is awesome. It's also got the IP rating on all the different pieces in a way that makes sense, where it's not an overall rating. And you got a warranty to back that up, which is pretty uncommon out there, honestly. Very uncommon. And the company themselves really wants to make a good product. I had one little issue with the button on the display, and VIG worked with me to resolve that really quick. And they also just communicated they generally want people to have good experiences. So you have a company that really is invested in hoping you have a good experience with this scooter as well. So that's great. Removable battery is phenomenal. It opens up so many options for people to store it in hot places, charge off the scooter. That's fantastic. I wish more scooters did that. It's great. Plus, it's got a really cool battery ejection mechanism. If you see my battery ejection video. The other thing is the dimensions. It's a big scooter, so there's a trade-off there, right? So if you're going to be folding it and putting it in and out of vehicles a lot and carrying it, maybe that's not fantastic. But if you're leaving it up and you're using it as a true commuter, and it's pretty tall, so it's going to suit tall riders. and short riders. It's better than the handlebars being too low in my mind. And nice wide handlebars, so it's got like good size dimensions. It feels stable out there as well. The solid tires on the dislike side, they are pretty hard, so that's a trade-off with flats. I mean, this makes for a zero maintenance commuter, but you're just sacrificing a little bit on the ride front, which is just kind of the case with solid tires. I do kind of wish the speed brakes were a little wider. That would make particularly speed limit 2 more usable. Other than that, it's just like it's got a lot of stuff you need and want. So I think it's a really good option. So if you have questions or comments about it, please leave them down below. Appreciate it. Appreciate you.